Let's begin using Packer and seeing what the configuration looks like. I'm inside of the Packer directory here. The directory is empty except for the Scratch directory, which just has some notes for myself. And we can go ahead and start configuring Packer. So the configuration could be a JSON file, or it can be a HCL file, which is a HashiCorp specific syntax that kind of looks like JSON. I typically use JSON for Packer, which is really just because that's how I learned it. HCL is totally valid. I'm going to go ahead and make a new file here. And I'm just going to call it cloudcast.json. And this is going to contain all of the configuration for Packer to use to build a server image for us. So here's a basic bit of stuff, a basic shell for our configuration. It's in JSON format, like we said. We have a minimum Packer version if you need that. I typically just keep that at 1.00 and don't do anything else. I think the current stable as I'm recording this is 1.66. There's a variables section where we can set variables that will either be empty or they can have defaults, which we can override. And these variables can be used in various different ways. Most often they're used to fill out certain steps in the automation of when you actually install and configure things onto a server. We have builders, which are the things that are defining where server images are being built, such as DigitalOcean versus Amazon AWS and others. And provisioners, which actually do the work of provisioning a server, in other words, installing and configuring stuff onto a server. So we're going to start off by setting some variables for our project here. So I typically do something like infrastructure name, so we can automate that in certain places. So we'll just call this cloudcasts, and then infrastructure env, which I will leave blank. We're going to make this get prompted for that. So we'll have to fill that out and get prompted for it so that we can do the environments such as production versus staging versus QA and all that good stuff. AWS region is another one I'm going to want, and I'm going to default that to US East 2, which we're going to do most of the work here. And AWS instance, which is going to be the instance type we are going to spin up for when we build a server image. Now, this doesn't need to be the same thing you use in production or other environments. It's just the server type that it spins up and creates when it's doing the creation of a server image. This does not tie you to any particular server type within AWS later. So we have the variable set. The next step will be the builders and the provisioner. So in the next video, I'm going to cover setting up the builder so it is configured to use my AWS account to create a server image.